Vince McMahon would say, "Welcome to hell." Anyway, I had to get it out there. Wearing the red shirts, I figured I'd take a trip to hell. I was in heaven last week with a Shawn Michaels shirt. And since Shawn Michaels' career has ascended to heaven, I figured I would go where Hulk Hogan's career is gone. There you go. Welcome to Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com. Thank you all for watching last week and the week before and the week before that. And all of you who have subscribed, almost 13,000 of you, by June 1st, of course. We'll get some more mailbag questions today. Thank you all again. Also got a huge letter from, not a huge letter, but a nice thank you from Gary Yap for ArtOfLifeStudios.com. So keep going to there, keep buying his stuff, keep plugging him away. He loves his stuff. This is from Adam. Just wanted your opinion, even though I think I already know the answer. What is your favorite all-time makeshift tag team? I mean, not traditional tag team like LOD, the Hart Foundation, Demolition, etc. Mine would have to be, although it was for an angle not to be a real team, the Mega Powers. When you take Hulk Hogan in his prime and the second biggest star at the time in the Macho Man, you just couldn't come up with more of a dream team, in my opinion. Other teams I've been mentioned are the Outsiders, Undertaker and Kane, Stone Cold and Triple H, and Mankind and The Rock, to name a few. Who are you taking? Well, the two-man power trip is definitely up there on my list, Austin and Hunter. They were dominant. They held all the gold. They held all the gold that was available to them. They held the world, the Intercontinental, and the tag titles for a period there. And it all fell apart in 2 days. God love them. God love it. Rock and Sock Connection, definitely a throw-together tag team that just stuck and just worked. The Mega Powers, they weren't really thrown together, though. That was kind of built over a slow period of time. And like you said, it was more of a storyline than a throw-together tag team. But it worked. You mentioned the Outsiders. I'm not sure if they can be considered a makeshift tag team, only because they went to WCW together, and WCW's strict intent was to make them a tag team and put them together. So I don't think they could be considered a makeshift tag team. Same with Undertaker and Kane. After their feud, it was only natural they would reunite as brothers and, team up. So they're not really a makeshift team either. But the two-man power trip, the Rock and Stock Connection, the Mega Powers are definitely up there. Rock and Undertaker were tag team champions. That was interesting. Just, there's a lot of good stuff. But my favorite, question's my favorite. My favorite is the Mega Powers. You knew my answer. This is from Riazi version 1. I just wanted to know what your feelings are about Randy Orton's first World Heavyweight Championship win in the WWE. Whenever people think about the big legends in WWF or WWE, they always show their first title wins. Example, Shawn Michaels is always shown on that famous clip from WrestleMania 12. However, Randy Orton's first ever world title win was against Chris Benoit. With it being that he beat Chris Benoit for the title, that match will never be shown or even mentioned by WWE. In my opinion, it was a really good match and deserves to be shown, mentioned in honor of both Orton and Benoit. The fact it will never be is a shame and unfair. What do you think? Well, you got to look at that from WWE's point of view, Rousey. What happened in June of 2007 was a tragedy, and I remember because I covered it. That was my first show of Talk Wrestling. We talked about that, and I went off on everybody. Just because I was angry, I guess. And still upset by what happened. But, you gotta keep in mind, they are trying to uphold an image. And as much as Chris Benoit, the wrestler, deserves all the credit in the world for his many accomplishments, and yes, Randy Orton deserves his World Championship win to be showcased, the WWE can't, in good conscience, showcase Chris Benoit. And that was one of Benoit's better matches as a world champion. I dare say his greatest match as world champion, besides the triple threat matches against Shawn Michaels and Triple H, That match where he lost the championship was one of Benoit's better world championship matches as champion. And for that to be showcased on a DVD or on WWE television or however it would be, would go against WWE's policy about, showcasing for all intents and purposes, a suicidal murderer. I hate that Chris Benoit is viewed as that now, but you gotta look at it from Vince McMahon's point of view and from the WWE's point of view. I hate that, and it bothers me to this day that Benoit won't get the recognition. He won't be in the Hall of Fame, and that he won't. He almost got his Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame taken away from him. The vote was to keep him in, barely. But they have shown little snippets of breaking through. Vince mentioned him in a WWE Magazine article, and they didn't show him specifically in highlights during the match, but they showed a very small clip of him on the SmackDown DVD in the beginning of TLC 3 when him and Jericho faced the Hardys, Edna Christian, and the Dudleys on SmackDown. It was there. That was awesome too. But you noticed during the match highlights themselves, you didn't see a lot of Benoit. You just saw him big sides saying, "Yep, there we are, we're the champs," and that was it. So, and they didn't mention it by name; they just said the tag team champions, and then they showed Jericho and Benoit quickly. I think things are wearing down. I don't know. I'd like to see an Orton DVD feature that match, but we gotta be honest, probably not gonna happen, and it sucks. This is from Owen Holtz. Knowing the huge Hulkamaniac you are, I wanted to ask you this. What, in your opinion, was Hulk Hogan's most embarrassing moment? If I had to pick it, I think it would have to be Hogan nearly setting his face on fire during his match against the Warrior at Halloween Havoc 98. And really, you could say that match general was a huge embarrassment. Yeah, that one kind of made me ashamed to be a Hulkamaniac right there. Wrestling-wise, yes. The most embarrassing moment was probably the Havoc match against the Warrior, or any of the 3 matches during his NWO time against Piper, because those matches were just awful. He had a guy with a bad hip against Hogan, and Hogan was on top of his game behind the microphone, was still in phenomenal physical shape on the surface. But he was not carrying himself very well, and him and Piper just dragged through those 3 matches. It was just hideous. I'm sure if you talk to Hogan, he will tell you that those pale in comparison and embarrassment to the embarrassment that his family has been dragged through over the last 3 years. And all the personal trials and tribulations that the Hogan family's been through. But wrestling-wise, I'd have to say the Warrior and Piper matches in WCW were right up there with his most embarrassing. This is from, I messed up your last name, James, Malaspino. Oh, maybe I did it right. Malaspino? Could be. Sometimes WWE will hire talent based on size instead of ability. However, a handful of these larger-than-life men have turned out to be some decent in-ring talent. Out of the prominent big men the WWE has utilized on its roster, with consideration of their individual height and weight, who do you think has the most technical in-ring talent and or abilities? The Big Show, Kane, the Great Khali, or Mark Henry? Big Show is one agile motherfucker for a 470-something pound guy. He dances like a cat in there. It's ridiculous how agile he is. Mark Henry's pretty quick for his size. He used to be quicker, let's be honest. He's gotten slower. Kane is still one of the most remarkable big men I've ever seen in my life. But Khali does nothing for me at all. I'd like to see what he's going to do on Raw. I'd like to see what WWE's going to go further with him. He's a comedic foil at best. He doesn't scare me. He scares me in person. He's a big-ass dude. I wouldn't want him to fight him in a fight or anything. But his character in WWE does not present an aura of intimidation like it should. Because WWE has booked him so shitty. Technically, he's not that good either. You know, Kane, Mark Henry, Big Show all have some technical in-ring talent and abilities. Great Khali is just a moving plod. And he barely moves. This is from Craig Davies. Shawn Michaels question, just like last week. What was Shawn Michaels' best match, in your opinion? It's very easy for me to say Iron Man match against Bret at WrestleMania 12. Very easy for me to say ladder match against Scott Hall at WrestleMania 10. Razor Ramon, whatever. Both of those two were Shawn Michaels at his best. A lot of people have criticized Scott Hall in recent years for not carrying his weight in the ladder match at WrestleMania 10. I dare say he carried his weight in a ladder match at SummerSlam 95 against Shawn Michaels. That was a great match as well. But when it comes down to it, I think Shawn Michaels will be best remembered for his Iron Man match against Bret. That was his greatest triumph. He won the WWE Championship for the first time, completing the boyhood dream after being 12 years old and wanting to be champion and all that. The story behind that was so good. And the match itself, 60 minutes plus, was so well told. The story was well told. And both those guys gave everything they had in that match. It was just great. So that's probably what's going to go down in history as his best match. Honorable mention, Undertaker matches last 2 years, though. This is from Brian Connolly. Do you think Edge is going to the Hall of Fame someday, or will he go in as a tag team with Christian? Well, I mentioned tag teams last week about going to the Hall of Fame and how there's a significant lack of tag teams. But I think Edge has done enough on his own in the last 5 years to be considered on his own. Christian, if he becomes WWE or World Champion before he retires, he may be up for consideration for Hall of Fame. Edge is in there on his own, no question about that. Edge will get in as Edge, not as Edge Christian. This is from Christopher Kuntu. Why haven't they given Matt Hardy a decent push? He's been with the company for over a decade and finally deserves a title shot. Yeah, he won the ECW title, but shouldn't he have gotten a better push, like being the WWE or World Champion? Well, you gotta remember, Chris, Matt has always been the less popular, shall we say, of the Hardys. Both of them are very popular, but Jeff has this phenomenal hold on the crowd that has never really gone away. Even during his dark days, even when he was in TNA the first time, he still held the crowd in the palm of his hand every night. Matt, for some reason, can't seem to get that together on his own. I don't know what it is. I like Matt Hardy. I've liked him better than Jeff over the years. But I liked the pairing with Lita. I liked the storyline with Edge. I liked him being ECW champion. I liked the brother versus brother storyline. I like how Matt carried himself in that storyline. I thought it was very well done. In my opinion only. I have a lot of people disagree with me on that storyline. I don't know why Matt hasn't gotten a world title or WWE title run. I think maybe the ECW title was given to him as here's your, lifetime achievement award type thing. This is from Ryan Beardsley. I'm reading Bret Hart's book, and I recently read his account of how Hulk Hogan dropped the belt to Yokozuna at King of the Ring after the interference from the infamous Japanese photographer, and Bret described it as a terrible way to do the job. I was wondering what your opinion on the worst job ever. I don't want to offend as how I know you're a big Hulkamaniac, but what springs to mind for me was Hogan again, when he was clearly asked to put Brock Lesnar over on SmackDown, number one contenders match, but obviously refused to be pinned or tapped, and instead lost after losing consciousness to a bear hug in a horribly lame finish. I was curious as to your thoughts on the topic. I'm kind of ragging on Hogan the last couple weeks, but I don't really see... I don't know, Aaron, help me out with this one. The match against Brock in 2002, where Brock bear hugged Hogan to death, pretty much. Was that a lame finish to you? No. It showed that Brock can take the biggest legend in the history of the WWE and reduce him to a quivering mass of blood and sweat. And just make notice that Brock's saying, you're not coming within a mile of my title shot, motherfucker. This is my title shot. This is my time. And I'm going to kill you before you get my shot at The Rock. I don't think that's a lame finish at all, and I highly doubt that Hogan refused to do a job, pin or submit, And that's why they changed that finish. I think that finish made Brock stronger. I think that finish made Brock, more credible going into the match against The Rock, because Brock had beaten everybody there was to beat going into that match with The Rock except Hulk. And Hulk's like, hey, Rock's my buddy, I'll step up, and if I beat you, I get the shot at this title. And Brock destroyed him. He destroyed the myth of Hulkamania for a few months. Hulk was gone after that. And he didn't come back until he was healed. He shaved the beard. He was Hulk Hogan again. Brock Lesnar killed Hollywood Hulk Hogan that day. And it made him more credible. Now, having said that and defended Hulk there, I will agree with you, Ryan, on the Japanese photographer incident at King of the Ring, and that's a horrible way to do the job. That was just god-awful. They were trying to build Yokozuna as the top heel in the company, and he can't beat Hulk Hogan without a little bit of interference from a blinding Japanese photographer and, interference? What kind of bullshit's that? I agree that Hulk did not do the job properly in 1993. I think 10 years away almost gave him a little sense of, okay, I need to do the right thing for the business and right thing for the company I work for. You gotta remember, he was on his way out when he did the job at King of the Ring. And he was basically saying, I don't care, fuck, I'm leaving. What do I care? 2002, trying to make Brock look stronger. So I disagree with you on the Brock match with Hulk being a poor way to do a job. I do agree that the Japanese photographer incident with Yokozuna was a horrible way to do a job. As far as the worst job I've ever seen, horrible way to do business and all that, Hulk comes to mind again. The Jeff Jarrett match at Bash at the Beach, where Russo had Jarrett lay down, part of the storyline. Hogan pinned him, part of the storyline, and then Russo came out and did his little unscripted interview. That's a horrible way to do a job, do a business, right there. This is from Sean O. Why does everybody complain about John Cena monopolizing the WWE Championship when Stone Cold Steve Austin monopolized pretty much all the titles and accomplishments through 1997 to 1999? Two-time Intercontinental Champion, two-time WWF Tag Team Champion, two-time Royal Rumble winner, and a four-time WWF Champion through that period of time. I think it's an unfair double standard, but what is your opinion on the matter? Oh, somebody has thoughts like me. Yes. It doesn't matter what field you're in. If you're in poker, if you're in sports, if you're in entertainment, you go with the hot hand. Do you see TMZ covering Joe Blow from Kokomo? No, they're covering celebrities of today. The people that are going to make them money and make news on TMZ.com and make news on that TMZ show at 11:39 on Channel 11. If you have a guy like a Stone Cold Steve Austin who was just on a meteoric rise to the top after winning the King of the Ring in 96 and coining the Austin 316 phrase, you latch your hand to his ass and ride the wave out, man. If it wasn't for him, there would have been no Attitude Era, there would have been no WWF Revolution, the WWF would have gone out of business, and that would have been the end of it. He monopolized for a reason. John Cena is their hot hand right now. You and I and everybody else just needs to get the fuck over that. John Cena is the hottest thing in WWE right now. He's their biggest star. He's their movie star. He's their number one merchandise seller. Everything. He is the guy in the WWE right now. And until that changes, we're gonna have to get used to seeing him as WWE champion. It is what it is. This is from Corey Extremo. I always wondered if Razor Ramon and Diesel had never left the WWF, what do you think would have happened to WCW and the WWF, in your opinion? Also, do you think WCW would have put two other people if they couldn't get Nash or Hall? This one caught my attention, and I saved it, and I wanted to use it because it presents a very interesting argument. What if? I love the what ifs. WWE does this every once in a while on WWE.com. What if the script would never happen? What if this? What if that? Had Scott Hall and Kevin Nash not left the WWF for WCW, it is very safe to say that WCW would not have been the success it was. Because I don't think you could have got two hotter guys in the industry than Diesel and Razor Ramon to formulate the NWO with Hogan. Two guys fresh off WWF TV, fresh off big title runs in the company, come to WCW and say, hey, we're taking over. And Hogan joins up. I'm the third man, brother. I came from there too. I'm the biggest star in the world. It wouldn't have worked. Now, without NWO, there would have been no WCW as long as it did. They would have died sooner, even with Hulk there. Thank you all for watching this edition of Talk Wrestling from Hell. I will make a much better presentation next week from a better location. It's creepy down here. Anyway, thank you all for watching. 13,000 subscribers. Remember, by June 1st, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your little brother who shouldn't be watching wrestling in the first place. Tell him to watch Talk Wrestling and get his news from there. We'll see you next time.